Hey y'all, Tara May here, and I'd like to present my Arrow collection part 2 this time. I'm doing the rest of my Blu-rays that I have for the time being, aside from my sets and steelbooks. And my first title is actually going to be The Burbs. This is a very fun dark comedy movie. I love this movie. Now this has Tom Hanks, it's got Carrie Fisher, it's got Bruce Dern, it's got the lady that does the voice for the wife in American Dad. This movie came out in the 80s. Oh, it's also got Corey Feldman. And it was kind of like these neighbors, including the guy that played Malachi in Children of the Corn, Courtney Gaines. They move in. They're very mysterious. They barely come out in the daytime. The neighbors are very suspicious of them. Tom Hanks, he's supposed to be on vacation, and he's supposed to be taking time off from work, but he's letting his mind overwork on all these things going on, and they've had a neighbor disappear and stuff. The house looks very dilapidated while everything else is very well maintained on their little cul-de-sac and everything. And there's just a lot of humor as they try to unravel, what mystery they think is going on here. And if you want to look at the special features there's a lot of them. This is one of my favorite comedy movies. I mean, it definitely has like a horror vibe to it, theme or whatever. But it is a really fun one to check out. Arrow's done a great job with the Blu-ray. Before that I had like a split DVD for a long time. I've always had a copy of this movie just because it's one of my favorites to throw in from time to time, lighten the mood. And if you haven't seen it, I would definitely check it out. My next one's going to be Blood Rage. Now, some of you may not know that there's Thanksgiving horror movies out there, slashers. There's two actually. Arrow put out Blood Rage, which was also known as Nightmare at Shadow Woods in one of its forms. This particular version, and I've done a different review specifically on this movie and another one for Thanksgiving, it's actually got kind of like three cuts. They actually took A Nightmare at Shadow Woods, and they took the Blood Rage version. There were scenes substituted, gore scenes were substituted for other kinds of filler scenes, and what Arrow has done was put both of the kinds of scenes in so that you can get the full experience of the movie, have the filler moments, and have the kind of gore, and it's a pretty good gore. It's a nice slip cover on here, 3-disc special edition. This movie is about a pair of twin boys, and one sets the other one up right in the beginning of the movie. He murders some folks at a drive-in that are making out in their car, and he pretty much wipes the blood and hands the knife to his brother, and leaves him holding the bag as he would. So he actually grows up in an asylum in a sort of almost catatonic state, where he doesn't actually speak of what happened, and he actually has been sort of convinced that he did commit the crimes, but he's starting to speak out, and he then escapes. So everyone thinks that the, crazy killer brother has escaped. What they don't know is that the guy has actually sort of been out all along. And so you kind of get a lot of these nice gory scenes. The doctors show up to take him back. You've got this crazy mother who acts almost like the aunt in Sleepaway Camp, if you're familiar with that one. Nice little booklet that was included with this. And it's a fun movie, and I love the tagline, "That's not cranberry sauce." He says it several times in the movie itself, and it's just kind of amusing. It's not completely serious, but it's a good slasher. So that's one I would definitely, around the holiday times, I would recommend that one. I would pick that up if you don't have it already. That's a great one from Arrow, and when the stuff's on sale, you can't beat them. The prices that they have on sale. And like I said in my other video, my Arrow Collection 1, for those who've seen it, they really do have a lot of great special features and stuff on these discs. My next one is a Tobe Hooper film, Eaten Alive. This one stars the Marilyn Burns that played in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it also has Robert Englund in an early role, and it is loosely based on Joe Ball, who used to kill people at his restaurant hotel and feed them to the alligators on his property. And it's sort of a great slasher. You've got like this seedy little whorehouse and just these characters that come out. Robert Englund is like such a redneck in this movie. It is so funny. And again, I got this with a nice booklet. It had another title as well, and it was one of the Video Nasties. And I'm not remembering right off what the other title was, because I've always known it as Eaten Alive. My brother, he had this film. And there's really some great moments in this, but it is sort of a cheesier, low-budget film. And if you're a Tobe Hooper fan, you would probably enjoy this, especially if you like some of his older stuff. This wasn't so much sci-fi, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre wasn't very much sci-fi. Some of his other films became a little more sci-fi. And again, I kind of make it my mission to try to see all the video nasties at some point, and I've watched all but just a couple of them. And Arrow has put out quite a few, including this one, Island of Death. This one is too extreme for most people. I've done a separate review on this on my channel, so some of you may have seen that. This movie was filmed in Greece, and it is about a couple who come to this island, and they're sort of doing a biblical, rampage killing thing where they're killing people they think are sinners. And it's got quite a few little twists in there. It's got some gore, a lot of nudity, and sort of like, rape type stuff, things like that. It breaks about every taboo there is. And if you like to see the extreme, you may want to watch this. But there is a lot of people that I know that are good horror fans that just will not watch this movie. It's not as bad as, say, a Serbian film or something like that. It's not quite like that to that degree, but it does break a lot of taboos. And if you watch it, you would see what I'm talking about. In my opinion, I would recommend this movie to most people to watch, just because it's an experience, really, and you wouldn't forget it. The acting's decent. That would be the original cover there. And just the plot itself is just so extreme. The rumor was the director had seen the success of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and he wanted to capitalize on that. So he created this movie and decided to just try to go all out. My next one is a nice little slasher that was also called Fall Break, I believe. This is called The Mutilator. There's even a little theme song in the beginning talking about Fall Break. By sword, by pick, by axe, bye-bye. This guy has been asked by his father to go shut down his summer home on the beach, and there's not supposed to be much of anybody out there. In the beginning, the movie opens with a kid he's trying to clean the guns for his dad for either his birthday or something, and the gun goes off and kills his mother. Nice slip cover there. And so you're kind of led to believe, who the killer might be in this. It pretty much isn't much mystery for very long as to who the killer is. But there's some great scenes, including one where that hook you see, which is one of the main murder weapons, is actually pushed up inside a girl, and she dies that way, through her pants. And it was just kind of a, for girls, squeeze your legs together and go, oh my gosh, kind of moment, But it does have some fun things. It's maybe not the most engaging, and it maybe can even be slightly bland a couple of, a little bit. Oddly, Arrow had done a fun trailer for it one time around Valentine's Day that made it look like a romantic comedy. Even the song in it kind of belies what the movie's actually about. But it is a slasher, fall break time, and it is a fun one to see. So, I mean, I like it. I like that I got it in my collection. And it's not something you would see every day. They do make some interesting moves with it. And if you're like me and you just like slashers, then it's definitely one to add to your collection, because I definitely collect slashers. Alright. My next one, another video nasty and a fun one. I haven't watched this in a little while. Maybe slightly on the artsy side, according to some people. The Driller Killer. This guy kind of decides to go out with his drill and fertilize some people in the city. He's kind of breaking down, has some issues going on. There's, a bit of nudity and stuff, some shower scenes and things like that. But it's definitely one of the more notorious video nasties, and that's partly because the original cover had the image of the drill going through a guy's head on it. And this came with a nice little booklet here. And I just love these Arrow editions. And like I said before, I've got a region free player. That would be the notorious picture there. And I love that they sometimes commission new artwork that's still is kind of in the style of the old artwork and the things you would see when you're walking through the VHS aisles and stuff of a rental shop. People love that sort of thing. I'm getting sort of into my more like giallo movies, my Italian. And here's Lucio Fucci's The Black Cat. This is loosely based on Edgar Allan Poe's story, The Black Cat. This has the cat sort of committing the murders and taking out some people. This guy, he's trying to sort of tell people that this cat has this, excuse me, this control. And so he's trying to, but it's got a nice feel to it. It's got some unforgettable scenes. And it's just, I mean, who doesn't want to see a cat get to be the killer for a change? Because that's kind of fun. And it's a gorgeous black cat, really. And it's just fun to watch. Lucio Fulci, he usually does a pretty good job. They did sell a pack on Arrow Video that had that movie and another one. It was Your Vice is a Locked Room and Only I Have the Key. I didn't get the box set. I wound up getting these movies separately, which means I didn't get the nice booklet and I didn't get the little extras that would have been with it. But I did manage to get both films. I had bought one and then the other one was gifted to me. And this here takes another take on the same Black Cat story by Edgar Allan Poe. This one has Edwidge Finch in it, and it's by Sergio Martino. And this one is a pretty famous little giallo. A lot of people really like this one. It's got a lot of the little twists and, plotting and, the gloved killer thing and stuff going on. That would be the original cover. And it is a fun little giallo to watch. One of the more engaging, interesting ones. Sometimes there are some giallo out there that tend to, in my opinion, lull or drag and have slow moments, but that one really stays at a good pace the whole time. My next one, another classic, What Have You Done to Solange? This was Camille Keaton's first movie. She's the one in I Spit on Your Grave. And this one here is from Massimo Dallamano. I suppose I'm saying that right. He did some spaghetti westerns and stuff, and there's a private girls' school where there's some deaths occurring, and it seems like they're linked back to someone named Solange that no one seems to know who really is. Nobody wants to come forward with who she is, and the one teacher involved, who was having an affair with one of the girls that died, he's trying to solve the mystery along with his wife. Now, it's funny, if you watch the special features, the woman who plays his wife actually rips the movie apart. She points out all these flaws, talks about how arrogant the guy was she worked with. She really did not have a good experience on this movie. She thought it was sloppy, and she just did not enjoy herself at all, so she says a lot of bad things, which is really funny because most people really love this film. And a lot of people, she just comes off looking kind of petty, but it's still amusing to watch her thoughts on it. And I'm sure not everybody loves the movie, but it definitely was fun. And, again, I got the nicer, and it's got the 2 discs. And we'll see the cover here. Has sort of that 70s strange, almost psychedelic type feel poster, where that's going to go into the psychological element just a little bit. My next one is a classic from Dario Argento. A lot of people love this. Tenebrae. Now, this one, he did this in the 80s. And it's one of his, Suspiria is probably his most popular, Deep Red being one of the other ones, Bird with the Crystal Plumage. But Tenebrae is another one people seem to really like. And this is about an author, and some people are starting to die, sort of around him. And it's, got the twist, the classic giallo things. It's got some nice scenes and pacing. There's this famous scene with these lesbians that are fighting, and they kind of get butchered pretty good. That's the girl going through the t-shirt, and then this girl that winds up with her head, kind of over that, walking around playing records in nothing but a towel. And nice special features on this, a lot of little interviews and stuff like that. And definitely a classic and in my opinion, giallo staple to watch, and a Dario Argento staple for sure, because it's one of his best ones, really. My next one is a Mario Bava film, 5 Dials for an August Moon. Now, this one is bordering the slasher genre, and it's a lot of fun with some characters that were in a lot of other sort of giallo movies and stuff, including Edwidge Finch, who was a delight to watch most of the time. Well, I'd say all the time, really, but I'm sure some people don't care for her. But she's not really the main character. She actually, well, a lot of these people get offed pretty soon, and it's got the whole twist thing. But she plays a pretty fun part where she's the wife of the one guy, and he knows full well that she's cheating with people. In fact, utilizes her skills of seduction to try to get what he wants from somebody. They're all after this professor's formula in order to try to make money off of it. They're offering him money for it, but the people are kind of winding up dead, including the professor himself, and everyone's trying to figure out who's really responsible for it, who had the most to gain by doing it, stuff like that. You know, classic twist. Mario Bava really is a master. He does a lot of great films. He has a lot of famous titles. He was one of the biggest ones in the beginning of the giallo, and he stayed with it. And this movie's no different, in my opinion. Now, there's some that maybe don't like it as much as some of his other work, some that like his older stuff better. I love this movie, and I love to put that one in and watch it. And it's really good, you know, you can watch these in the Italian language with the English subtitles, because when you watch the English dubbed, most of you probably know by now, they do change quite a lot of things. Sometimes even small plot things are sort of changed. I think maybe to Americanize it, because maybe something would be more important or make more sense to us to be this way than to be that way, as it is culturally for, you know, in Italy or something. They do that with a lot of Asian films and stuff too. This one is another Argento film. Not his most popular. There's some people that really don't even like this one. But Catoninetails is kind of fun. It does drag some, I will admit, and there are some boring moments, and it's not his best. But if you're an Argento fan, it's definitely one that you might want to see. If you can pick it up cheap, I would recommend that. But it is a good one to have, and it does have some interesting moments and deaths. It just doesn't have quite the same feel and artistic stuff as some of his other ones. Say, Suspiria is probably his most visually beautiful film that he does, and probably the most pleasing to watch. But again, it's not necessarily a giallo. This is, but he does still capture some of that imagery. But mostly, this had a lot of great posters for it. I mean, just the way they marketed this, and it's a shame, really. I think it just missed. You know, there was just something about it that just didn't go quite far enough, maybe, or something. Maybe people at that point were expecting more. But it's still a good one to watch. It's not his worst one by any means. Next one is A Bay of Blood, and this one definitely was along the lines of the slasher. This is also a Mario Bava film. I believe this one goes by some other titles as well. It's Twitch of the Death Nerve, and maybe Bloodbath might be one of the other titles for it. And it has a lot of special features on there. Mario Bava, like I said, he really made a lot of great movies, and I love these ones like $5 for an August Moon and A Bay of Blood. They've got a lot of people. They usually die pretty brutally. There's usually very tense moments. There's usually a lot of just tension between the people, and usually he picks people that play very well off his scenes, you know, that he's given them, and they always seem to do well with his work. He must have had quite a knack with the actors, in my opinion, and they usually always say very kind things about him. And we know his son kind of took over, but I'd hate to say he wasn't quite as good as his father. I believe it was sort of a family business at that point. I believe even Mario Bava's father had done some film, although he may not have been a director. I'm not sure of all my facts on that, sorry y'all. And my last one that I'm going to show in this one is going to be The Girl Who Knew Too Much. Now, I haven't actually got to put this one in yet, but it's a classic. I believe it's black and white, one of the earlier giallos, and it has a sort of wink in the direction of Agatha Christie, a nod to Hitchcock, and it's sort of, you know, a young American secretary with a taste for lurid paperbacks witnesses a murder whilst visiting Rome. Or does she? Nobody will believe her, but she appears to have stumbled upon the work of a serial killer active 10 years earlier. The victim's surnames begin A, B, and C, and hers begins with the letter D. Starring the striking Letitia Roman and John Saxon, Enter the Dragon, Tenebrae, and Nightmare on Elm Street, The Girl Who Knew Too Much is presented as both its original Italian version and the longer U.S. cut entitled Evil Eye that was re-edited and rescored by American International Pictures. And this is the 3-disc version. I picked this up for $11 on the Arrow sale not long ago, so I did pretty good considering. It's got a lot of discs there, you know, a lot of special features on this one. It's a very nice one. Arrow makes these great little books and editions, and It's a very sturdy case to keep it in, you know. It's kind of got definitely a durable, lasting feel. When you put money into these, you don't want to open it up and see the kind of case that has all those little holes and stuff in it. You know, you want something that's going to definitely protect your investment, because when you buy them when they're sort of a collector's piece, you know, or they say collectors, then you want them to be in something that lasts. You don't want to feel like you've got to replace the case in order to make sure that it's in it for the long haul, you know. I've met a lot of people that are like that, so. That's it for this part, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit like, maybe you can subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at TaraMay79, TARAMAE79. You can ask me any questions you'd like. Thank you all for watching my videos, my channel, and I'm going to be bringing you the other part of my collection here soon. May film it the same day, but my video uploader takes a while, so sorry y'all. Until next time, I will talk to you later.